Tonight, what's in a name change?
It's something that McGill just should have done a long time ago, right? It's overdue.
Why McGill University is retiring the Red Men. A sporting disruption on a path towards reconciliation.
Okay, who's taking the picture?
Everybody.
Thank you. Alberta's election is now just days away. We'll look at the main choices and what they plan to do about climate change and pipelines.
We need to end this war.
And winter is about to hit hard. As TV's biggest show enters its final chapter, we ask, what could replace Game of Thrones? This is The National.
Students at McGill University call it a positive step on the road to reconciliation. The school is scrapping the name of its varsity sports teams, the Redmen, because a lot of people, and not just those who are Indigenous, find it racist. It's been in use for nearly a century, but McGill says that stops now. The CBC's Jayla Bernstein was on campus to get some reaction.
Here come the McGill Redmen!
It's an identity, a part of the university's legacy, and for some Indigenous athletes, deeply offensive.
It can be isolating. It can be incredibly difficult to look into school yearbooks and see Redmen, Squaw, Indian, all used in conjunction, and at the same time seeing these gruesome depictions of Indigenous people.
Even though the name Redmen originally referred to team colors, not Indigenous people, that shifted over the years, taking on new connotations.
It has become something that is a pejorative, and that's something that really strikes us as being difficult to keep now in 2019.
In 2017, a university task force recommended dropping the name in response to the Truth and Reconciliation Commission. Parallel student action added more pressure.
It's something that McGill just should have done a long time ago.
The decision is going over well with many on campus, though some have mixed feelings.
If somebody feels hurt by that term, I don't think it should stick around as much. But I mean, sometimes I do wonder if some people are being a little bit oversensitive about this specific issue.
Some alumni feel it's political correctness gone too far.
It's a bit like a family name that is wrongly being tarred with a racist connotation, which it isn't. Nothing could be farther from the truth.
But McGill's administration says changing a name doesn't mean changing history.
We're saying that from now on, the teams will not be called the Redmen anymore, but we're not going to go around our gym and erase any trace of that name ever existing.
Other Canadian teams, too, are wrestling with their identity, like the CFL's Edmonton Eskimos. They've been consulting with Inuit community members.
We absolutely want to get things done properly and then make proper decisions, not quick decisions.
As for McGill, consultations to pick a new name are expected to start in the fall. The university has vowed all members of its community will be included in that discussion. Jayla Bernstein, CBC News, Montreal.
Now, debate over Indigenous team names and symbols has raged for years across North America, with campaigns to rename the NFL's Kansas City Chiefs and Washington Redskins, Major League Baseball's Atlanta Braves and Cleveland Indians, the NHL's Chicago Blackhawks, and, as Jayla mentioned, the Edmonton Eskimos of the CFL. So will McGill's decision have any impact on other teams? Hard to say, but Canada's Minister of Crown Indigenous Relations applauded it.
It really comes from the students and from their understanding of their role in reconciliation. The Edmonton Eskimos could maybe take this, a lesson from this, in that we have to make sure that coast to coast to coast, when people are hurt, you have to listen.
Carolyn Bennett spoke in Toronto today, where she also announced funding to help women new to Canada build job skills, part of a 5-year plan announced in the recent federal budget. Let's turn to the country's biggest current political drama, and Rosemary, this one's not in Ottawa.
No, for once, that's righty. And we're finally into the home stretch of the Alberta election campaign that's been mostly centered on the economy and the future of that province. But how things play out on Tuesday could, of course, affect all of us, all Canadians. Party leaders will be making their last-minute pitches this weekend, and there's huge interest in what they have to say. In fact, a record 403,000 Albertans have already cast their ballots in advance polls.
I think it's more important this time around. It's in the news, it's in the media. People are obviously angry.
People here are anxious about their future and about the biggest industry in the province.
What's the most important issue for you in this election?
Definitely oil and gas. We got to get the province working again.
Alberta is still limping along after years of economic setbacks. A sharp drop in the price of oil in 2014 led to layoffs and the collapse of the province's energy sector. The oil sands is selling its product below the world price, while the pipeline projects that were supposed to open up new markets have hit one regulatory wall after another. How to meet those challenges has been a key campaign issue. The incumbent NDP and its possible successor, the UCP, have different messages. Rafi Boudjikanian breaks it down this way.
In a campaign dominated by talk of jobs and where the jobs are rooted in the oil patch, to paraphrase an old slogan, it's the carbon tax, stupid.
And we are going to write a Made in Alberta policy that works for our province and our industries.
The NDP's plan to reduce greenhouse gas emissions remains a signature moment, and Rachel Notley's still all for it.
I think we have laid out a path that is going to ultimately lead us to a much better destination.
But the tax is a hard sell for those dependent on the oil and gas industry.
Now, if everybody wants to trade in their gun, trade in all their vehicles, shut the oil down completely, maybe. But it's not going to happen.
How could you be embarrassed about Alberta?
Jason Kenney hears that and says his first move will be to repeal the carbon tax.
It's led to the jobs crisis, to the flight of tens of billions of dollars of capital.
That doesn't convince everyone.
There's no evidence whatsoever that a carbon price ever put in place has actually damaged the economy and cut jobs in the way that we often hear its opponents claim.
He says long-term policies are the key, which brings us to the question of pipelines. Both parties support them, and even voters for whom environmental concerns are top of mind know why.
I completely understand what the expectations are for a party to win in Alberta, but yeah, it's definitely disappointing to be put in that position.
Still, the NDP and UCP do differ. Kenney wants to get the oil moving east through a resurrected Energy East project, a difficult sell in Quebec which would need to agree. Notley's sole focus has been the Trans Mountain pipeline, bought for billions by Ottawa, still in limbo after a court order. For both parties, oil to market is the key, and so a third question. What are the impacts on the rest of Canada? Jason Kenney's made no secret. If he wins, he will go to war with Ottawa over federal bills that would ban oil tanker traffic and reshape how pipelines are approved and authorized. Battles he's not certain to win.
I think it would be very unusual if the federal government had no ability whatsoever to protect the environment.
As for the NDP, even if its policies are closer to Ottawa's, Rachel Notley herself has shown she'll fight for the oil patch.
When Canadians head to the polls this fall, how Albertans vote won't be the deciding factor. But whoever they elect next week will help set the stage for that national conversation. Rafi Boudjikanian, CBC News, Edmonton.
So polls have consistently shown Jason Kenney has a very good chance of becoming Alberta's next premier ever since the campaign kicked off 25 days ago. And according to CBC's latest poll tracker model, the United Conservative Party enjoys a healthy lead that would, at this stage, produce a comfortable majority. But of course, it ain't over till it's over. We'll continue to have you covered here on The National as Alberta votes. We'll be coming to you live from Alberta next week. It's clear that this election isn't just about the province, and there's a lot at stake for the country, from the oil and gas sector to climate change, and of course, relations between Edmonton and Ottawa. Will it be a second term for Rachel Notley's NDP, or will Jason Kenney and his new United Conservatives take control? I'll be in battleground Calgary starting on Sunday as Albertans prepare to decide their future, and we'll have full results right here on The National on Tuesday.
Most Canadians live in cities, and the way we live has enormous impact on our health, our happiness, and on the world itself. There are two things we want to share with you now. One, a story about the way we build and why some of those gleaming new condo towers we see popping up aren't as green as they're made out to be. But first, let's talk traffic. Congestion sucks. We all know that. But some of the world's most iconic cities are pushing back. This week, London made history by enforcing a low emissions zone in its city centre 24/7. So any vehicle that doesn't meet strict emission standards is charged for being there. Around $22 for a car, $175 for a truck. The goal, cut down on air pollution.
So we've got a public health crisis. And by the way, it's the poorest Londoners who own the fewest cars who suffer the worst air.
Consider the girl on the left, Ella Kissy Deborah. Lived in South London, died at age 9 from severe asthma. Her mother has fought doggedly to wake people up to the true cost of bad air.
You cannot have 1 in 10 children in a capital city on medication or fighting to breathe. This isn't what childhood should be about.
She believes the low emission zone is a good thing, but that you can't stop there. So let's take you to New York, where they too are taking a stand on traffic, but for different reasons and in a different way. As Stephen D'Souza shows us, the city wants to put a price on congestion.
It should come as no surprise that the term gridlock was invented in New York. So news that the city will soon charge a congestion tax to sit in this brings a predictable response.
It's just another way to tax the middle class. That's all it is.
The details are still being hashed out. But starting in 2021, drivers entering Manhattan south of 60th Street will pay an estimated fee around $12 to $14. Trucks, $25. Those amounts would change based on time of day and on weekends.
Yes, it's happening.
A decade ago, Jeffrey Dinowitz rallied the opposition. Now he's reluctantly come around.
The emergency that's taking place, and it is an emergency with mass transit in New York City with our subway system, suggested that we have to bring in large amounts of revenue.
Transit here is overburdened and needs critical repairs and upgrades. The congestion tax would raise up to $15 billion to fix the century-old system.
We need to understand what it is, how it works.
Bruce Schaller wrote New York's original congestion pricing plan 10 years ago.
It wasn't that people who opposed it before got convinced or that they were given something or made a deal. It was just like there was just a tsunami to get this done this time.
But businessmen like Peter Patino worry about the extra cost. And he says congestion pricing doesn't address the real problem clogging New York streets, the proliferation of Uber and Lyft.
It is ludicrous unless the city told all these app cars not to come into the city to begin with.
Schaller says New York has capped the number of rideshare vehicles and added a congestion surcharge.
And so there's not one thing that you can do and say, well, that by itself will reduce congestion. It's this combination of things.
No one in North America has tried this, so politicians and commuters are anxious to see if they can replicate Europe's success, where traffic decreased 15 to 20% right away.
Once I see it, then I'll believe it.
An ambitious goal for a city stuck going nowhere fast. Stephen D'Souza, CBC News, New York.
Now, New York's congestion charge will be a first for North America, but London has had one since 2003. Singapore and Stockholm have also tried it and learned to love the benefits. Let me explain. Back in 2006, people in Stockholm were skeptical about a 6-month trial period, but they were won over by the swift drop in pollution and congestion. A year later, they voted to make it permanent. But that's not to say there aren't unintended consequences. In London, the price of housing inside its congestion zone went up. Seems buyers were willing to pay a premium for less traffic and cleaner air. Now, here at home, this next story is about cleaner buildings. Condo towers these days can be massive, right? Very modern, too. They're sprouting up all over the place. But it may surprise you to learn that they're not always very energy efficient. Because consider what's in them. A big part of their allure are the amenities and the common spaces, and those can actually create big challenges. Greg Rasmussen shows us why and how boosting the green credentials for those buildings could be an uphill battle.
More and more Canadians call condo towers like these home. They're often marketed as being green and energy efficient. But a new study by BC Hydro, the province's electric utility, says recent builds are burning up lots of watts.
Oftentimes everything's running 24 hours a day, 365 days a year. So the lights in the hallways and lobbies are always on, elevators are always running. So all of this is contributing to that overall electricity costs of the building.
The biggest problem is common areas and their amenities. These real estate videos highlight the luxury of swimming pools, outdoor hot tubs, even bowling alleys. But they don't make clear the hidden energy costs. The study says about half the energy used in newer luxury buildings is gobbled up by these features, about twice as much as buildings constructed in the 1980s.
And that's a conversation that we need to have as a society, is that do we want to live in these gas towers that are wasting a lot of electricity and losing a lot of heat?
One problem, says this expert, the cost is usually hidden inside maintenance fees.
Generally, the awareness is low. People pay their bills and pay their strata fees, don't have the details of what goes in the strata fees, but most importantly, often don't have a sense of what the opportunities are to reduce those costs.
He says to cut the bills, use occupancy sensors, upgrade to LED lights, and use computer-controlled heating and air conditioning.
So are you seeing more of an emphasis lately on energy efficiency?
Increasingly so. This architect warns, though, it can't be the only focus.
If we just drive everyone to make changes purely on energy efficiency and sort of limit every activity you would do to save energy, we might achieve that, but we'd also end up with buildings that we probably don't want to live in.
Vancouver has promised that by 2030, all new buildings will be zero emission. This new report helps show why that's going to be a tough goal to meet. Greg Rasmussen, CBC News, Vancouver.
Here are some other stories we're following. There was a big fire in Ottawa's famous Byward Market earlier today. It started this morning on the roof of a restaurant and quickly spread to several adjoining buildings. At one point, more than 40 fire trucks and 150 firefighters were involved in putting it out. There are no reports of injuries. The cause is being investigated. Initial estimates suggest damages will exceed $2 million. Fisher-Price is recalling nearly 5 million infant sleepers after the products were linked to more than 30 deaths over the past 10 years. Officials say anyone who bought any model of the Rock and Play sleeper should stop using it immediately. Fisher-Price says it considers the recall the best course of action, but will continue to stand by the safety of all of its products. Police have arrested the son of the woman stabbed to death in Toronto's underground path system. A 19-year-old was taken into custody. He's been charged with first-degree murder. CBC News has learned the 51-year-old victim had been living in a homeless women's shelter. She was pronounced dead at the scene.
Well, still ahead on the National, it is catchy as heck, but Old Town Road has also sparked an important debate about race in the music industry. We'll take it on with the pop panel.
And tackling smog in China by taking 2 wheels instead of 4.
Plus, Game of Thrones heads into its final season, but don't worry, fans. Why its wild success means there's more like it on the way.
We've realized, and the industry has realized, holy crap, we actually can spend $13 million on an episode and still make our money back.
That's on next on the National.
Let's talk about cryptocurrency. Bitcoin is cryptocurrency, and cryptocurrency isn't physical money. It exists only online. But remember, today most money exists online. Think about those paycheck deposits into your account, or how you can tap your debit card at a store. It's a digital currency that exists in zeros and ones in some computer somewhere. But that money is government issued, and as such, we all agree to respect it as being worth something. You, me, corporations, banks, we all adhere to the idea that $10 is $10. That's where cryptocurrency is different. It isn't issued by a government or a bank. Bitcoin was invented in 2008 by an anonymous inventor who calls themselves Satoshi Nakamoto. Nakamoto developed what's called a decentralized system. Now, a traditional bank is a centralized system. All payments enter and leave through one central hub. Whether a debit card on your account, or a check, or a request from a teller, if you make a deposit or a withdrawal at a bank, it's all recorded on the bank's ledger. Bitcoin uses a kind of ledger too, a decentralized virtual one. It's a string of letters and numbers that exists in the online world. In order for people to have trust in it, Bitcoin still needs to have checks and balances to be as secure as a national currency or money in the bank, and that's where Bitcoin's ledger comes in, called the blockchain. A blockchain is a time-stamped virtual ledger that holds a growing list of transactions. Each copy updates at the exact same time, keeping the system accurate, and the copies are updated through something called Bitcoin mining. Here's how. Some of the people holding the ledger are miners. They're not mining for gold or precious metals. Instead, their computers are put to work mining blocks of data. These blocks help them act as auditors for the blockchain. These miners are trying to check the letter number combination of that particular Bitcoin transaction. So they do this by solving a math puzzle unique to that transaction. Once the puzzle is solved and the miner finds the right number, it proves that this is the only time that Bitcoin has been sent. When all the people holding the ledger confirm they're on the same page, they record that transaction. How do miners get paid? You guessed it, Bitcoin. So the miners have an incentive to keep doing the auditing work and keep the currency going, meaning there's no need for a bank or government body to manage all that money. Even though all those Bitcoin transactions are public, we have no idea who the people behind them are. Like Satoshi Nakamoto, Bitcoin's inventor, his or her or their identity is still a total mystery.
The final season of Game of Thrones starts this Sunday, and it's getting a ton of hype. A massive Iron Throne popped up in New York last week ahead of the red carpet premiere. The fountains at the Bellagio Hotel in Las Vegas have been putting on nightly shows.
Many of you see me on Game of Thrones.
Kit Harington, who plays the character Jon Snow, hosted Saturday Night Live. There's even a new Game of Thrones soundtrack on the way, featuring big-name artists like Mumford & Sons and The Weeknd. Stuff I don't really get, but on average, 31 million Americans tuned in for each episode last season, making it one of the most watched shows of the past decade. Clearly, I should too. Eli Glasner has more on the show's success and what comes next.
We need to end this war.
It's coming. Not just the final reckoning for your favorite schemers and survivors, but the end of a show so successful it changed what TV is and will be.
I call it tentpole TV. It taught TV executives that you don't have to settle for a garden variety, decent-sized hit or well-performing show. You can actually shoot for the stars and get this incredible franchise that spawns other shows.
5 Thrones spin-off shows are in the works, a testament not just to Game of Thrones' spellbinding stories, but the high-tech magic behind them.
This shape of the wing here, this is trying to capture as much of the kind of air volume as possible to then move this huge creature. Exactly.
From the soldiers on the field to Daenerys' favorite dragon, the brains at this Vancouver VFX studio bring the world of Westeros to life.
Taking, say, a clip of an eagle landing on a branch and trying to imagine an eagle that's the size of a 747 landing on top of a castle.
Those effects come at a price. Producers are reportedly spending $15 million an episode for the final season, setting a new standard for what audiences expect.
We're always surprised by their ambition on a sequence by sequence basis, year after year, episode by episode. But I think it was less a surprise by that and more just a validation or interest in the value that visual effects can bring to a program like Game of Thrones.
With the show drawing to a close, studios are pouring money into swords and sorcerers.
A lot of TV broadcasters and commissioners are going for, let's do the wizard thing with scale and lizards and all these kinds of like fantasy elements. No, the human scale has to work as well. And I think that's what Game of Thrones does incredibly well.
These are about 5 university students from the University of Toronto who end up being pulled to the first of all worlds.
So it's like C.S. Lewis, Lion, the Witch, and Wardrobe, but a little more mature.
Absolutely.
Now you got me. See,
this actor-producer grew up obsessing over the stories from Canadian fantasy author Guy Gabriel Kay. Now he's developing them for television.
I wonder if Game of Thrones has helped even encourage
Canadian storytellers to be more ambitious?
Yeah, I think it's kind of done that to the whole industry, where we've realized, holy crap, we actually can spend $13 million on an episode and still make our money back.
They're coming.
Whether any of the pretenders to the throne can find the same success remains to be seen as the final season prepares to stun audiences one last time. Eli Glasner, CBC News, Toronto.
Still ahead on The National, curbing China's smog problem by curbing cars. Beijing's turn to bites ahead.
And up next on the Pop Panel, we follow all the twists and turns of Old Town Road.
Riding on a horse.
How a rising hip-hop star's embrace of country music unleashed a mega hit, a wave of creative covers,
All I ever spit for the rodeo and hit them with the Holy Ghost. I'm real like in the polio and how heaven only goes how it goes. I spend a lot of money on my brand new guitar.
and a prickly debate about race and culture in the music industry.
And you're a light in this world, man. You're going to shine.
When Atlanta Trap met Nashville. Next on The National.
This is what a mega-thrust earthquake can do. A magnitude 9.0 off the coast of Japan 5 years ago. And beneath the beauty of mountains and ocean on Canada's west coast, the same kind of earthquake is waiting to strike. But at this Vancouver school, students and staff will get an early warning and a chance to take cover before the shaking starts.
Earthquake, shaking expected.
It's part of a pilot project for an earthquake early warning system designed by UBC.
It gives us a warning that we did not have before. We could only react at the impact of an earthquake. Now we have seconds, potentially minutes.
And even seconds can be critical. When an earthquake strikes, the energy released is sent out as seismic waves in all directions. The fastest waves, the waves that arrive first, don't actually shake the ground in a damaging way. In fact, we can't even feel these primary or P waves, but sensors can. There is a lag between those waves and the arrival of the more damaging waves that do shake the ground back and forth, shear or S waves. Those warnings can be sent out to mobile phones, radio and TV. They can stop traffic at bridges, halt surgeries. And the farther away you are from the epicenter, the more time you have between the warning and the shaking. Which is exactly what happened across the south coast of BC on December 29th. Kent Johansson and his family had a 13-second warning before the earth moved. Tell me what the earthquake felt like.
It felt like this.
Her dad is the designer behind UBC's earthquake early warning system, a network of sensors that work together to detect damaging earthquakes.
And here comes the S wave going up here. And now we're at 50 seconds, 51, 52, bang. That was 13 seconds, and now comes the North Shore.
Now Johansson is working on a home alarm and an app that the public can use to connect to the early warning network via the internet. UBC isn't the only group working on an earthquake early warning system in BC, though.
We have these sensors in the ground, and they're buried about 50 to 100 feet apart from one another, and they are constantly listening for earthquake activity, S wave, P waves.
Shake Alarm's technology uses standalone units rather than a network of sensors.
Earthquake approaching. Take cover.
There's an alarm here at the George Massey Tunnel, a major highway in Metro Vancouver where thousands of cars pass every day. The moment the sensor detects the first wave of a damaging earthquake, the tunnel closes to traffic. Their new home version also offers early warning for a monthly fee. There is one other major group working on a solution, Ocean Networks Canada. This research group from the University of Victoria has something that UBC and Shake Alarm don't: sensors on the ocean floor where the big one will strike, giving vital extra seconds of warning for all the early detection systems. And that's where the BC government is putting their money.
That's why we're providing Ocean Networks Canada with $5 million investment towards its seismic program.
The group will be adding more ocean sensors to help with early warnings, but their focus has been on detecting the big one, which will hit under the waters of the Pacific Ocean. So to create a comprehensive system, they'll be partnering with UBC and companies like Shake Alarm, who have the technology to actively monitor other quakes closer to home. And if all goes according to plan, the system should be in place within the next couple of years, hoping to ensure that when the next one hits, we all know before the shaking starts.
Man, I love this song. Confession time. I never thought I would say this, but I can't get this dumb country song out of my head.
I'm a big country music fan, and damn it, y'all, I have found my new favorite track. The catchy country trap single Old Town Road by Atlanta rapper Lil Nas X has become a total sensation and a major source of controversy since it blew up on the internet a few months back.
It's got that twangy banjo and trap beats, and it's made by a guy who looks like me, but he's talking about horses and tractors and talking about horses and Gucci.
But it's catchy as hell. The song caught fire and started climbing up the Billboard Top 100 charts and the Country Top 100 charts.
But then Billboard took it off the country chart, claiming it wasn't country enough.
A lot of people are calling bull. I'm one of them. Old Town Road has way more references to country living than most of the songs at the top of the country charts these days.
And then people started to ask if this was really about whether Lil Nas X is white enough to be on the country charts.
Billy Ray Cyrus, of all people, embraced the track by jumping on the remix.
Living like a rock star, spend a lot of money on my brand new guitar.
And now the song is #1 on the top 100 charts.
I'm Elamin Abdul Mahmoud, social media editor at BuzzFeed News.
I'm Donovan Bennett, staff writer and host for Sportsnet.
I'm Sarah Bosveld, senior writer at Chatelaine. The song is forced a reckoning on what country music is and who gets to make it.
Okay, so before we get started, hello everyone, by the way, there has been a really interesting plot twist in the last 24 hours. So Old Town Road still is not on Billboard's Hot Country chart, but it is now on Billboard's Country Airplay chart, which is a measure of how much play the song is getting on country radio stations. So it's hit number 53, which is not nothing. So the point being, while Billboard itself still doesn't think the song is country enough, lots of radio stations, country radio stations, beg to differ. So let's just set the bar real high and settle this once and for all right now. And I only want one-word answers, okay?
Oh,
this is the
God.
challenge. Sarah, is Old Town Road a country song? One word.
I'll say yes.
Elamin.
I'll say country enough. Those are 2 words.
2 words.
Yeah.
Donovan.
Yes, it is.
Yes?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, wow. So let's, we have a first verse of the song that we can play, just to get everyone right back.
Everyone dancing.
Let's go ahead and play.
I'm gonna take my horse to the Old Town Road. I'm gonna ride till I can't no more. I got the horses in the bag, horse stock is attached.
Okay, so outside of the opening banjo bit, like I don't actually hear a whole lot of country in there.
Are you kidding me? The twang.
What are you hearing that I'm not hearing? Sarah?
You know, he talks about like country living, and so many of the white guys on country radio that are huge stars really just like list off country-ish things, dirt roads, you know, like blue jeans, cut-off jeans,
Okay,
jeans,
but I mean that's all it takes. I mean, just talk about.
It's certainly not, that's not all it takes, but that gets you into the conversation, right? Like that makes you a part of the country conversation. And you know what? If those other country artists are doing it, then why is he not allowed to do it?
Donovan?
I mean, listen, when I heard Cowboy had his Gucci and Wranglers on my booty, I was sold. It's country enough for me
Is that
right
easy?
there. But, I mean, what is the precedent? Because Taylor Swift has had songs, right? Never Ever Getting Back Together. That doesn't sound country to me.
It isn't.
But it was on the country charts because of her lineage and where she came from.
Okay, so here's Billboard's take on this. So their point of view, they say, while Old Town Road does indeed incorporate references to country and cowboy imagery, it does not embrace enough elements of today's country music to chart in its current version.
No.
So, okay, but their
What
point,
are those elements?
But their point being that you can't just sample banjos and sing
But so
about
many
cowboy boots and
guys
then call it country.
do. So many guys do, and they've made huge #1 hits out of it. You know.
Jason Aldean is the country music's artist of the decade, and he's got one of his biggest songs is like mostly rap with a little bit of country in the chorus.
Dirt Road.
Yeah,
Dirt Road Anthem.
Right. So we're pretending like that passes for country because he's talking about dirt roads, but this isn't country enough. It just seems to be kind of a double standard here.
I think we might actually have a clip of that to Dirt Road Anthem. Let's go ahead and play that.
Back in the day, Potts Farm was a place to go. Load the truck up, hit the dirt road. Jump the barbed wire, spread the word. Light the bonfire and call the girls.
Okay, so yeah, so not your typical country song, but then what is it? What's behind Billboard's decision then? Do you think to have pulled the song off the country chart?
White, powerful men in Nashville, the Nashville machine. I think there has to have been someone who was like, I'm not making money off of this. These big labels where we spend a lot of money and promotion to get an artist to a place where they are being played all over country radio. Country radio success is a really interesting one too, because it's like the one genre left that really has a powerful base in country. In radio airplay, actually, like terrestrial radio. Now it's all streaming. So it's just, I think it's like huge influencers who are powerful and realizing that they're not making money off of this. And so the way that Lil Nas X has come up, he was an internet phenom to begin with. He still is, but he's really come from the outside and made a huge success of this song. And so I think a lot of powerful people in Nashville are like, yeah, but where's my money? You know, like how come I'm not seeing the returns?
People out, right? Like,
absolutely.
I mean, right now, I think the country charts have two women in the top 20 or something, because those Nashville sort of really powerful influencers tend to keep women out of those charts and tend to keep, for the most part, men of color who do country out of those charts. It's like black people have been doing country music for a long time.
Basically, the origin of country music is like slave songs from the South. Yeah.
And yet you never hear it, you know, on those sort of powerful country platforms.
So Donovan, then, in your mind, is it less about the music and more about the musician?
100%. 100%. And they didn't want to be made a mockery of. You have an artist whose stage name does not sound very country, Lil Nas X, from Atlanta. He's not from an area that consumes a lot of country music. He's not from Nashville. To me, they were trying to draw a line in the sand and say, this is what our culture, our music is about. You're not a part of it, so you're not a part of that party. But I think it was short-sighted because of what it could have done and would have done is opened up their genre to so many more people so that they weren't niche, because it is streaming and leading in Norway and all over the world, which country at this point needs.
But also, like, it's a reminder that this is American music, right? Like hip hop and rap, born of America, same with country music. Why not just embrace all of the sort of intricacies and crossovers that just naturally exist?
But just so I'm clear, what is it exactly that you would have Billboard do? Because I suspect from their point of view, if I just take their musical argument at face value, right? I mean, they just have to decide one way or the other. Is this more of a country song with hip hop elements, or is it more of a hip hop song with country elements?
Blow Up Billboard is really the answer to this, right? Because like Billboard is so stuck to these categories and genres.
But what do you mean? So just do away with all the genres, period?
I mean, why are we still having genre conversations right now, right? Like the most interesting music is music that borrows the most sort of meaningful elements from across genres, and that has been the case for some time. And so I don't know why we're so married to the idea of genre.
Well, economy-wise, because of money, I think. Like it's an industry, right? And it's an industry in distress because artists cannot make money off of streaming, right? They have to tour in order to get any money at all, essentially. So I think the labels too are really struggling with the new reality, and this is another challenge, another wrench in the machine.
But if you don't have a hot country chart, you're probably not going to have a whole lot of country songs on the top 100, period, right? Like don't the genre charts set space aside, like protected space aside for these genres so that they can all sort of flourish and have their own prominence?
You can have a country chart, a top country chart. You just can't have it both ways. And when Florida Georgia Line makes hip hop, can't even say it. When they make hip hop, you can't then say, oh, well, of course, we know them, we understand them. That's still country, but when Lil Nas X comes along, oh, all of a sudden our country space is threatened. To me, because of the streaming, because of the fact that genres really don't matter, it makes more sense to bring in unique artists to the country charts, because that's going to bring unique listeners and unique dollars.
I guess the alternative would have been to allow Lil Nas X to climb multiple charts, to be on all of the charts that he feels
like he would have had to categorize
which Drake does. I mean, Drake makes pop and rap and hip hop and R&B, and EDM at times. So if Drake can play in those spaces, why can other artists do the same into the country space?
And by the way, it's good for country. Like, I can't remember the last time that, society worldwide has talked about what country music is.
I'm like, finally.
Right, like this is a moment. Like, thank God we're talking about what makes country music.
Yeah.
After how long of just like country being sort of isolated in its own kind of silo.
But look who's talking about it, right? Justin Bieber, Reba McEntire, Tom Brady. Like that Motley Crue alone tells you that this touched a lot of people. Right. My mother-in-law called me about this song, and we don't normally talk about music. Yes. So the fact that this song touched so many people, relax.
Your mom.
Sarah's getting really excited here.
She has great taste. The fact that this touched so many people let me know that country music, this was an opportunity, and I think they let it slip.
So let me give you each a chance to have a final thought on this. And I mean, why do we care whether Billboard thinks this is a country song or not? I mean, why does this matter?
I think there are last sort of vestiges of authority of places that try to control these categories. The Grammys being one, the Oscars being another, and the Billboards being another one. These are, institutions that have been around for a long time, and they are the ones who've been determining what is and what isn't country music, or what is or what isn't, pop. And those institutions are being a little bit threatened, I think, by the democratization of information and content. And so we're taking up this fight not just because this song, it's a fun song, but it's because it represents, I think, something bigger.
I mean, as a black consumer of music, I care because I don't like the way the history of blacks has been really washed away in country, the way it has to a lesser extent in rock and roll, but we still celebrate people like Jimi Hendrix to keep that history together. Music is one of the only places in our society which is so divisive at the best of times where there are no borders, where I can watch a YouTube clip, people in Japan right now singing Drake lyrics, making references about Canada. That's the best part of music. And country and hip hop and R&B, when you actually dial them down, they're not that dissimilar. And so as people, I think we are more alike oftentimes than we are different. Music is the best way to tell that story. And I think the country music artists and society should help tell the story as well.
Well, and I love that especially because what is country music if not about storytelling? And same with rap and hip hop, right? It's all about talking about a certain experience, reflecting our society back to us. And I think that this story became a big story because of the socio-political times we're in as well, not to mention just internet democratization and our economy is changing so quickly. But, if we didn't have, Donald Trump in the White House and who, therein was elected by a lot of white people and like there's a lot of reflections back for why people have such issues with the country establishment, country music establishment too. Like having a black man come in from the outside and really make a huge impact in a hugely white space is a story of our times right now. It's about polarization, it's about racial injustice and tensions therein, and I think it's really, fascinating, and I'm interested to see how it shakes out. But in the meantime, I will just be like on repeat until it gets too old for me.
We know it's on your playlist. Yeah. Do we have time to talk about Game of Thrones? Is that right?
You can. Go for it.
All the time.
I don't think we have time.
Okay.
Yeah, that'll be for the next panel. Guys, thanks so much.
Thanks for having us.
But we do have time for what's still ahead, the moment shared by Star Wars fans around the world today. The new trailer is out. How fans are feeling, I think you can tell, about their first look at the rise of Skywalker. Ahead. But first. In case you missed it, they may seem like an unusual choice to sing the national anthems ahead of a playoff game, but tonight the Winnipeg Jets weren't taking any chances. This is Manitoba's Husli, who describe themselves as a Ukrainian male chorus, and they've become something of a good luck charm for the Jets.
Right from the national anthems, there was a buzz.
The last 5 times Husli has sung, the Jets have won. Now the team needs a repeat.
Here's Shifley out in front. The tip.
On Wednesday, they lost Game 1 of the Stanley Cup playoffs. That was with home ice advantage. They're on the road for the next game. So tonight, enter Hoosler.
When you hear music like national anthems, which are as strong and patriotic as they are, sung in a way that's as powerful and majestic as Hoosler sings, it just takes it to a whole different level, and the crowd really responds to it.
This strategy has a famous hockey precedent. In the 1970s, Philadelphia's team had Kate Smith singing God Bless America. Even 33 years after her death, when the team needs a home win, the Flyers cue up a recording. On the nights she hits those notes, they've won about 75% of the time. The Jets are hoping for 100%.
A mango is a mango is a mango, right? Well, not quite. These mangoes have been zapped. They've been irradiated with a dose roughly equivalent to 10,000 chest x-rays.
Good. Approved by the FDA, the USDA, nice. The EPA.
Delicious. This peculiar taste test took place in Miami Beach 2 months ago. Lorenzo's became the first place in North America ever to sell irradiated fruit. And there's a chance irradiation may come to Canada. Instead of mangoes, we may end up eating zapped chicken. The irradiation of food may become one of the hottest health issues of the 1980s.
Here is the first really new method of food preservation.
You want to get nuked? Sure, go for it, and let's build a silo in my backyard.
Oh, I have eaten irradiated food, and I certainly would actively look for it if it was in the supermarket.
This is cobalt-60, a byproduct of Canada's nuclear reactors, and the most common power source of food irradiation. This is how it works. Chicken, for example, goes into the irradiator on large pallets. Inside, the cobalt-60 rods are raised from a pool of water. The chicken revolves around the radioactive source. The rods are returned to the water, and the irradiated chicken moves outside. The government is now considering allowing the irradiation of poultry for 2 reasons. Firstly, to cut down salmonella poisoning. Most cases of salmonella poisoning in Canada involve poultry. Secondly, to extend shelf life. For 40 years, scientists have studied food irradiation, and most have declared it safe. They point to the astronauts who munch their way to the moon on zapped steak. They say it's safer, cheaper, and more effective than chemical sprays and fumigants. Sprays and fumigants that in some cases have been outlawed.
We're looking in agriculture for non-chemical means of protecting the crops or the animals.
Dr. Norm Tape of Agriculture Canada has just been made chairman of a UN group of all 26 nations that currently irradiate food.
Irradiation isn't going to be a panacea. It's not going to be our milk supply or breads and our meats and our fish and all that. I think there are going to be selected applications where there are health benefits and it's economically feasible.
The people that work here at Atomic Energy of Canada Limited have asked the government for approval to irradiate poultry. They're waiting for the government's decision with great interest. Most of the 140 irradiators now in use around the world have been produced right here. In the majority of cases, they're used to sterilize medical and hospital disposable goods like surgeon's gloves or cotton swabs. It's a multi-million-dollar business, a growth sector in a nuclear industry that has been slumping badly. If the government gives the green light for food irradiation, AECL could be the big winner.
Oh, we're talking many millions of dollars of business a year, well downstream.
Bruce Wilson is AECL's director of marketing. He's sold irradiators around the world from China to South Africa, $15 million worth over the last year alone.
Given that you have a regulation in place, you have the world's biggest and best supplier of this technology in your own backyard.
Here's some of the other stories we're following tonight on The National. Sudan's defense minister has stepped down as head of the country's Transitional Military Council. The announcement sparking celebrations in the streets of Khartoum as demonstrators defied a military curfew and continued their push for a civilian government. The former defense minister was sworn in as interim president just yesterday.
It's just so sad.
And back here at home, the pain at the pump spiked in Metro Vancouver today, almost $1.70 at some stations, a North American record. Experts pointing to lower supply from the U.S. and an increase in British Columbia's carbon tax.
For a good part of the last century, Communist China was also known as the Bicycle Kingdom. But as its economy modernized, the use of cars exploded and bikes were neglected. Today, they're back in a big, big way. Beijing has embraced bike sharing on a massive scale and with high-tech advances. Sasha Petrusek went out for a spin.
The struggle with smog never really ends here. Pollution rolling in from factories nearby. Beijing's 5 million cars boosting the toxic mix. But a bit of hope may be appearing on two wheels. It's a twist on shared bicycles that's taken this country by storm. 23 million of them are out there across China, and they're starting to change traffic patterns. Riders say, it's changing my life, and I hope it'll change the environment. The bikes go out every morning to be picked up and dropped off by riders pretty much anywhere. Instead of docks, each bicycle is connected, tracked, and unlocked by satellite and cell signal. Riders use their smartphones to scan a barcode, and the signal does the rest. The bikes are especially useful in the narrow back lanes of Beijing's hutongs, the old neighborhoods. Here, they act as an extension of the public transit system, delivering people right to their doors. But it's out on the jammed streets where the bikes are starting to do something city planners like Zhao Yuxin didn't think possible: reduce congestion. We've tried building more roads and parking lots, but it doesn't work, he says. There are always more cars. These bicycles are actually having an impact.
In fact, studies have already found that people are taking fewer trips by car, noticeably fewer short trips around China's cities. Researchers at Peking University estimate that's cut carbon dioxide emissions by more than 4.2 million tons, the equivalent of taking 900,000 cars off the roads annually, thanks to the bikes.
On the outskirts of Beijing, one of the major bike-sharing companies, Didi, is trying to develop the system further to make the bikes maintenance-free. And says its senior vice president, Fu Xiang, maybe even install small electric motors. There have been growing pains. China can seem littered with the bikes, its sidewalks blocked by thousands of tightly packed machines. Some cities have responded by bulldozing them out of the way and into landfill sites. Bikes piled several stories high over entire fields. But harking back to an earlier era when bikes ruled China's streets, cities are also planning big changes to adapt. In the case of Beijing, some roads are to be swept of all these cars and once again left for bicycles only. Sasha Petrusek, CBC News, Beijing.
And next on The National, our moment, watching the new Star Wars trailer with a super fan.
What's going to happen? I don't know. That's the most exciting part.
Meet David Bruff. He's the head honcho, in fact, the only honcho at Northern Access TV. He's traveling in some style from one Northern Ontario town to another, checking on his network. That's right, his network. Appropriately enough, he's playing a tune that was stolen from the Germans by the British 8th Army. You see, Bruff is also a thief, a TV-age Robin Hood, stealing from the rich and giving to the poor. Bruff has 30 TV stations, all illegal. Although he's applied, none of them are licensed by Canada's governing body, the CRTC. This is Bruff's master control, a plain old living room in Toronto. Here, without permission, Bruff records programs from every TV network, Canadian and American. He constructs videotapes that are 10 hours long. The tapes are sent several at a time on a route that takes them from one station to another. And this is a Bruff TV station, a jerry-built system of gutted tape recorders, pieces of plastic plumbing pipe, paper clips, epoxy, and a tangle of wires. The TV signal is beamed out of closets, basements, fruit cellars, and bedrooms by a tiny transmitter that will only carry the signal 5 miles or so. Run-ins with government are nothing new. You see, Bruff first wanted to give his system to the government-funded CBC.
I pestered them enough, they finally agreed to allow me to do a demonstration of the system. The thing was that the engineers in the CBC, they were the ones who turned thumbs down on the idea. So here, in a sense, it was categorized very neatly by a CBC engineer who told me to take my toys and go home. In many respects, I use the other analogy of if a person is starving, that because you can't give them a T-bone steak dinner, that you'll let them starve because you've only got a hamburger for them.
This is one of those starving communities, Wawa, a mining town on Lake Superior. The only theater closes on Tuesday nights. The only bowling alley went bankrupt and is now a food store. It's too cold and snowy to do anything outside. And until Bruff came to town, there were 12 channels of snow and the CBC. Everyone in town had to chip in to pay the $5,000 setup fee. And now, Wawa has its own TV bingo every Tuesday. Cards sell in town at 4 for $1. That pays the station manager's salary. The rest, a modest sum, goes to Bruff. The people love it, flaws and all. Bruff's service has survived exactly because it's popular. That same popularity thwarted the RCMP and the Department of Communications when they tried to shut down his first illegal station in Pickle Lake.
There was an interesting confrontation between a few dozen miners who were down at the local bars and found out that this was happening and showed up on the scene, and they politely informed the people there that if they tried to take away their TV station, they probably wouldn't get back out of town.
In Wawa, he does a talk show to field complaints.
Remember, I haven't been around here for several months, and I don't know exactly what's happening, so this is your opportunity to clue me in. Hello, are you there?
Yes?
Go ahead, please.
I was just wondering...
He's told too many programs that are on the CBC are on his station. The kids want more cartoons, the grown-ups more movies.
I'm trying to force the private side of the industry to participate in this venture financially as well.
And with that, Star Wars fans around the world found their hearts beating out of their chests today. This is the brand new trailer for the latest and final movie of the original series. Star Wars: The Rise of Skywalker hits theaters this Christmas. Now, Star Wars fans, as a general rule, have an enthusiasm that's really hard to match, except this next one. Words wouldn't do her justice. Just think of this like a reaction video, her first time watching the trailer, and it is our moment.
Okay, so what did you think of it? Well, it's really exciting. You know, when I watch something like that and I see different, planets, I'm wondering, are we going back to a planet that I know, or is it a new one? What's going to happen? I don't know. Lando Calrissian. That's really exciting. I didn't think that they were going to get Billy D. Williams into this movie, and I'm really happy that they found a space for him, because he needs to be there. They were a whole lot of fun, you know, they're paying a lot of fan service. They really want the people to be happy, I think. Maybe though a lot of people are upset about certain things, but it's been fun. And that's what I like about Star Wars. It's just spaceships and aliens and let's go on an adventure and have a good time. Yeah.
And so did this psych you up for the new movie?
Yeah, I'm really excited. They could have put a blank screen up there and I've been like, yes, what does it mean?
Love her. We should go to the movie with her just for that. I'm not like a huge fan of these new ones because I am sort of a child of the 80s and I'm more of a Mark Hamill, Carrie Fisher kind of person. So it's hard for me to relate to that, but I liked the enthusiasm.
Yeah, if I went to the movie with her, I wouldn't watch the movie. I would just be staring at her the whole time.
No, totally.
But I'm with you. The new movies never get me really excited. The Phantom Menace, I think, kind of ruined it for me. I like the old ones. They felt more gritty and real, you know?
Yes, yeah, I agree.
Okay, so I was in high school when the first one came out, but I remember that Saturday night when my friends went, I didn't. I've never seen more than 10 minutes of any of the movies. So a question to you, dear co-host, is it too late for me to start?
You haven't seen it? Seriously?
No. I've never seen Titanic, and I never will.
Okay, well, that's weird, too.
I am
you should do it. You should do it. Okay.
And so I'll get back to that in a sec, but I should say now that that's the Nationals for Friday, April the 12th. Good night.
Good night.
Night.